you hear the creak the entire time. Welcome to my channel. I am Sarah. Let's go with this here. And this is Flosstube 15, 14, something like that. If you've been here before, you'll know I don't keep up with statistics and that kind of thing. I admire Flosstubers who do. Love watching those Flosstubes because it's really interesting to see the stats. That is not where my brain is at these days, is keeping track of those stats. So anyway, you won't find that here, but you will find a love of cross-stitch like every other Flosstube. Yeah, so let's just get into it. I wanted to share a couple of things that are not cross-stitch first. We have some nieces' birthdays coming up, and I was itching to do some crafting the other day, and I wasn't really interested in stitching, and I wanted to make some cards. And we are kind of practicing something called wintering. I see this term everywhere right now online, and I realized we were already doing it when I learned what the term was. And the idea of wintering is that you're tucking in, you're cozy, really a stitcher's dream. You're staying home, you're saying no to extra obligations that aren't necessary, and just snuggling in where you can. So we've been doing a lot of that. Our mornings have become super slow and sweet, just like tucked in bed. A lot of mornings we just have like, you know, like instant French toast that you throw in the air fryer. Like my son has that and some fruit, and I have my tea, and we snuggle in bed and watch videos of trains, and like just really slow and simple, which has been the best stress reliever. And I saw something the other day that said winter is a time for us to make. It's a time for us to create. So we garden, and in the spring and summer and even into the fall, depending on the year, our time is heavily taken up with being outside, which I love, like, because Canadian winters are long here, not a ton of sunshine. Today's sunny and bright, and that's why I've got the curtains open. But a lot of the winter's not like that, so we spend a lot of our warmer months when the sun is actually out and it's warm to be outside doing stuff. So there's not as much time, I feel like, to create the crafty kind of stuff as much. Stitching is the one thing that I bring with me year round now. But I was like, I want to do something with paper. So I found a little free template on Pinterest. I'll see if I can link it down below in the description. As best I can tell, it's not a copyright. It's not taken from anywhere. It's literally just someone's hand drawing that they've offered up on the internet. But it creates these sweet little 3D berries. Are they not so fun? So I have a Cricut machine. And usually I would just slap a file on there and have it cut it and replace paper and all that kind of stuff. And I am not anti machines that help, you know, with cutting fine detail, because I'm not great at that. But there was something so fun about hand cutting all of this. And then I just dotted on with a Sharpie, little dots. So I've just got like some candy in here. These will go with a gift card to our nieces. Then we just put "Very Happy Birthday" on there. So I enjoyed making these so much that I actually made like 14 more. So that will be my son's Valentine's to hand out. And I made some little, on Canva, some little gift tag things that had like a little berry on it and say, "You're my berry best friend," or "I love you very much," things like that. Just little cute puns to go with the berries. And then there's like fruit gusher kind of berry flavored gummies inside. Anyway, I thought they were so fun, and I think I will definitely make more of these in the future. So just had to show those. If you want the information, just message me and I can send you the Pinterest links if I forget to put it down below the description. So then I have, I don't think she watches my channel, so I think I'm safe. My mother-in-law's birthday, and so I thought, oh, it would be fun. She oftentimes does, well, I think always does handmade cards. So I used to do a ton of handmade cards. But then life and other hobbies, and if you're a crafter, you know, like, you know, you try 5 different crafts in a week sometimes. Anyway, it's been a while since I've done paper crafting, but this one, the outside is just really plain. I just wrote "Happy Birthday," but boom! How fun is that? And what I liked about this one was that it's literally just like colorful cardstock, and then printer paper. I don't know if you can see. It's gonna wash it out. I just did the edges with purple like crayon. Anyway, I thought it was such a fun like pow, especially when you have a January birthday in the winter in Canada, like to get some flowers Like, so there you go. There's a flower that doesn't fade away. Anyway, that has been my fun crafting that is not cross-stitch related. Sorry, I've got the floss tube itchy nose. Anyway, so that was fun to do. My office craft room, it's our makeshift living room right now upstairs here, was literally covered in paper scraps all on most of the surface of the floor. My son was, you know, playing on the floor, and I gave him a bunch of construction paper to play with, and he just went to town. Like, he loves to shred paper. So he went to town shredding paper and throwing it everywhere, and like, we just, yep. So it sat like that for a couple of days, and I was like, okay, I need to get back in here and tidy this all up. And it was so rewarding to clean it up. But it was fun just to see him kind of enjoy and, you know, go for it. And I really enjoyed getting some paper crafting in. So I will try to be doing that a little bit more often, just because I enjoyed it so much. So I have a couple of whips, a couple of finishes. They're not FFO'd, but they, well, I'll just explain as we go, because two of them, there's more to come with them. And then I have some whips, and I have some haul I want to show you. It's mostly just my thrifted haul. I did purchase some other like fabric for random projects and stuff, but they're now in like working into a whip and all that kind of stuff. And it's just been bigger gaps in between when I've had a chance to film. So I haven't kept track of all of that. So you're not going to see massive haul, but I wanted to show you some of the things that I found thrifting or on Marketplace, or that my friend will occasionally send me a message to be like, hey, I found this. So I want to show you those. And then I have one new plan I want to tell you about that is long in the making. I think today's floss tube will be a little bit shorter than usual, but that's okay. We all have so many other floss tubes to keep watching. I find nowadays I'm not even barely keeping up with my usuals. But I just sneak one here and there. I've stopped trying to go back and catch up on the episodes I missed, and I just, you know, watch whatever they've currently got. But yeah. Okay, so I wanted to show you this one first, which I cannot remember any of the names of patterns right now, most likely. So what I will do is I will make sure to put a picture up on the screen here or here of the pattern and where you can find it. This one is a freebie that I've had sitting. I just printed the cover image last year or the year before when I first started stitching. I don't remember, but I printed the cover image so when I wanted to go back, like to actually kit it up and stitch it, I could remember where I had seen it. So I went back to their website, and it's a freebie on there. And so this one, I think it's called Lovebirds or Christmas Love, something like that. So, I'm sorry, nothing per usual is ironed. So I have thoughts. It's done, but I almost want to stitch their eyes darker. I'm gonna just focus this slightly here. There you go. Because the white eye kind of creeps me out. This is stitched on some remnant of fabric I have. Couldn't tell you the count. It looks like, no, it's a 14 count. It's a 14 count. So I was thinking about finishing it. Karen from TheStitchingOwl oftentimes will, not oftentimes, but she has like a series she's stitching and doing into like lollipops. So I thought about doing this one into a lollipop. So Karen, if you're watching this, is that too big for a lollipop? Like, it is about the size of my palm. Like, it would be kind of large for a lollipop. I don't know. I thought about making it into an ornament. So I am counting this. I am going to be doing a little stitch 25 ornaments in 2025. Karen the Stitching Owl is doing it, as well as I feel like Amy, but I cannot think of her YouTube channel. Somebody comment down below if you know what I'm talking about, because I cannot remember her YouTube right this second. But they're stitching 25 ornaments in 2025. So I asked Karen if I can join. So my goal is like 2 every month. So I think I am going to count this as one of my ornaments. But I have not finished it yet. So no one said we had to finish the 25 ornaments, right? Karen, do we have to finish them, or is this... Just do what you want. That's what I'm gonna say. Just do what you want. Anyway, so that's my first ornament. I have technically finished 3 other ornaments in January. I will post a picture on the screen here. These are the Sweet Joy to the World ornament by A New Creation Studios. Allison creates beautiful patterns. And I stitched 3 of these for a set of friends and shipped those off, so I don't have them anymore, but I did take a picture so I could show you guys of them. And I actually have another one that I got a little bit started, and it probably will sit till next Christmas, and then I'll finish it and gift it maybe to my neighbor. So yeah, so that is my first, I think, ornament. I have another small that I just finished stitching. It's a pattern that I'm going to be sharing with you guys soon, but I did not bring it today to show you. It's over there, but I don't want to show it to you yet because I think there's just a little bit more detail I need to add to it. I stitched what I had designed, and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, I really like it, but it just needs a little something else. So I have some honest friends who I can be like, hey, what's it missing? And I just send them a picture, and then they'll give me ideas of what I could add to it. But the problem is sometimes translating those ideas into tiny pixel art. Not as easy, but I think I've got the little missing piece from one of their suggestions. So my brain feels like there was a pattern I released since my last video that I haven't told you guys about, but genuinely, I cannot remember. Oh, you know what? I know exactly what it is. I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Oh man, usually I'm more organized on my notes, but nope, whatever. This is Winter Symmetry. This is my first pattern that I've designed that is exclusively backstitch. I saw the Stitching Mommy talking about a complete backstitch piece probably a year ago that she was working on or wanted to work on. And when I saw it, I didn't realize that that was a whole other world of cross stitch, like that there's complete backstitch patterns. I'm very used to seeing in cross stitch magazines, I believe it's Doreen Jones, who uses a lot of backstitching to define the shapes in her cross stitch. And I've done 1 or 2 of her patterns before, like small ones. But I never had seen until seeing Stitching Mommy's video that time that there were completely like patterns that were just backstitched. So anyway, this is Winter Symmetry. And I am gonna get this in focus. This is my pattern I released in January. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have already seen it. Just see if I can get this a little more in focus here. Let's see. Oh, you know. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So this was a lot of fun to stitch. I'm gonna hold up the birthday card so you can kind of really see. There we go, some of the detail. That nice sunlight coming in, I'm not used to it anymore. So anyway, I had a lot of fun stitching this one. I may have talked about this in my last video, I don't remember. So this released early January, so it is only backstitch, and it was a lot of fun to stitch. It's not huge, but it took a lot of time to design, but I find backstitch, at least for me, works up so quickly. So I just finished it with a little bit of fabric from my Nana's stash. Oh, how to get the camera back now. There we go. I just stitched it, or finished it up. Now, it's not fully finished because I need to do a little patch, and I'm going to put the year on the back, but I just used some pretty rose fabric from my Nana's stash of fabric, and it has been proudly displayed in my makeshift craft room. So anyway, that's Winter Symmetry. If you're interested, the link's down below, and you can purchase the pattern. And if you do this one, I would absolutely love to see it. This is part 1 in a 4-part series of backstitch patterns, which I just really enjoy stitching it. I really enjoy stitching backstitch. And I really enjoy stitching it when it's not over top or around other cross stitching, but it's just backstitch. So that is my pattern of the month, we'll say, even though it's February now and I did that in January, but whatever. Like I said, we're not really tracking all those dates and stuff too much. One day, I aspire to, one day. Have a little sip of water there. Okay, so this one I think this one is called Flower Birth Sampler by Historical Samplers on Etsy. So this is a gift, and the piece that's missing, this is the last time you'll see this. The piece that's missing is, this is a gift, and it's a birth sampler, so it's going to have the baby's name and details and all that kind of thing. So because of that, I'm not going to share that when it's finished for their privacy or whatever online. So it's done. Oh boy, we got to get this in focus. This deserves its moment. So can we just enjoy? Oh, now what you see right here, this little bit of pink right in here, that is the start of the baby's name. And then I realized, oh, I want to show it to you guys before I customize it and can't show the whole thing on the screen. Man, I will say, and I've talked about this before, not my favorite thing to stitch, but I think it's stunning when it's done. So I am very, very pleased with how it turned out, and I'm excited to put the birth details in there. I did have, let's see if I can get this in focus. I did have a little problem with the pattern. This purple was not listed in the pattern, and so I just worked everything else in the pattern first, and then I emailed them on Etsy and asked them what color was intended, and they apologized that it wasn't in the pattern, and they sent me the info. So maybe they've updated the pattern by now. So that was the only thing I noticed that was off with the pattern. It's the first time I've had that happen. The symbol was on the chart, but there was no color connected to the symbol. So anyway, they were super fast at responding when I emailed them, and then I got it finished. So there is a few spots where a few of the flowers are off center from what the pattern calls for. And I frogged multiple sections of this. But it is done, and I absolutely love how it turned out, and I'm really excited to finish it and frame it and give it to them. Yeah, so it was a good lesson in persevering, even though the pattern wasn't my favorite. And the pattern is beautiful. It's not that, it's just all the tiny little color changes and motifs and stuff. I don't know, I was just not there for it. And so my brain just wanted to quit on it multiple times. So I stitched this throughout their pregnancy and used it as a reminder just to pray for mama and baby during the pregnancy. And then it became my, oh, please God, let her have some sleep and for healthiness of a newborn and all of that. So I like to gift stitches. It's one of my favorite ways of stitching, or reasons for stitching. One of the things about stitching I find is, like, there's a lot of things I want to stitch that it's not necessarily my decor style, or it's not necessarily like I have enough space for it or whatever, but I love the idea that I can stitch and gift it and tailor it to the person that I'm gifting it to, and it lets me stitch a variety of styles and funny quotes and that kind of thing. Like, my list of what I want to stitch still for gifts is like, anyway, giving gifts is my love language, and so getting to do that through stitching, so it's something I get to put a labor of love into, is really sweet, really special, especially when I know it's people who they're not big crafters themselves, but they enjoy something crafted. That always makes it more fun, because they're just in awe of the creation, because it's not something they would make themselves because of time or energy or whatever. So it's always, I don't know, it's fun just regardless of who you're giving it to, but some of those individuals are even more fun to give to, if that makes sense. So I have one more finish that is the same situation. It's a birth sampler for my little boy. So I talked about on here a while back, I was doing another birth sampler for another person, and they're what ended up being a little girl, and I was hit with grief that fall, not connected to that birth sampler, but I was talking about it when I was showing that birth sampler. But I was hit with grief on my son's third birthday. So we adopted him right before his second birthday, and in the paperwork we have the time he was born and his weight and those kind of things, but it just adoption is beautiful, and there's so many things you get to celebrate and be a part of and do with adoption that you don't with your typical biological kid. So there's that. Like, there's always exciting and not exciting. What's the word I'm looking for? There's different things that you get to celebrate that don't come with biological birth. But there's things with biological birth kids that you don't get with adoption. That it's just different, right? And it's not wrong, it's not bad, it's just different. But there's levels of grief in different seasons and different things. This is something that I've been learning over the last probably 7 years, is that there's a lot of things that we grieve that aren't about death. Like, we definitely grieve death, those we love and losing them. But there's a lot of things in life that we grieve that aren't connected to death, but it might be the death of a dream, or it might be just something out of your control. And so for me, I just was hit, my heart was hit last fall with like that feeling of like, I don't really have anything that commemorates his birth. Now, we were very fortunate to have some photos and even a video from when he was first born. Just 1 second. Okay, I am back. Just changing a poopy bum. So I was talking about my son's birth sampler and talking about grief, and basically I was starting to ramble, but to summarize, I was trying to think of something that could kind of celebrate the birth of our son, even though we weren't there for it, and something that kind of marks it and kind of measures those moments. You know, how much he weighed, the date and time, that kind of thing. And so I thought, you know what, is it weird for me to do a birth sampler? And I think I talked about it on here. Talked with my husband, we decided nope, it's not. So I bought a pattern, really cute, and it just wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to stitch it. And so I sat on it a while, and we ended up doing an ocean theme for his bedroom. And when I saw this pattern, I was like, oh, that is it. So it is not a birth sampler like originally, the pattern. So I finished the original pattern. So now I need to think about how I want to chart the lettering to do the birth details. So that's the next part. So it's my finish for now. This is Star Whale by Nathnolu on Etsy. And can we just give a second? Ignore the wrinkles, sorry, but can we just give a second to the shading on those clouds? Oh, I love everything about it. Everything about it. So I've left enough fabric that I'm going to do, I think, his birth details underneath. And I am so pleased with it. And this is on, I believe the fabric is called Chocolate Raspberry. It's an Ada from 123 Stitch. And I am so glad that I did it. It filled that piece in my heart that was grieving and was sad. And it was, then I went back and I looked through some old documentation and got those birth details again. So now it's just time to sit down and chart it out. And that's the part that I'm a little nervous about, is like figuring out how to chart it out properly so it's not, you know, lopsided or anything. So anyway, that will come at some point, and then it will go in his room. He's gonna have 2 cross stitches in there now, because I found that when I showed you last time, it's a cross stitch I found at the thrift store for $1, and it's 3 seahorses, like two parents, a mom and papa, and then a little baby one. So anyway, he's gonna have a little cross stitch wall in his room before long. So those are my finishes and finishes for now. I've gotten a fair bit of stitching done this month. I don't really stitch much during the day unless he naps, which isn't happening a ton anymore. And then oftentimes when he naps, I'm designing, or I'm cleaning my house, or taking a nap, or I got a hair in my mouth. Shouldn't play with my hair. Yeah, so anyway, so I'm not stitching a lot during the day, but when I do stitch is at night when we're done for the evening. We'll watch a show or whatever, and I will tuck in and stitch almost every evening. And that has become a nice routine that I hope to continue on at least for the rest of the winter. I don't know what happens when gardening season comes, but I'm gonna enjoy it while I can. So I have a couple of whips I want to show you. So I will start with, so a while back I was talking about switching and doing the Woman in the Field of Flowers. Stitches So Beautiful translates paintings into cross stitch patterns with permission from the painter, right? So this is okay, I'm going to show you a picture here because I cannot remember the name. Maybe Woman in Yellow dress. Anyway, when I saw this one, I was in love with it. And anyway, I chatted about this on an old video. Was I going to kit it up and was I going to start this one when I had bought in, or Josh had bought me everything for one of the other ones, but I just wasn't enjoying it. And I don't know if it was the fabric or the pattern. I think it was because I knew in the back of my head this one existed and I really wanted to stitch it. So I'm doing something a little different. I'm probably not the first person to do it by any means. But I'm actually going to move closer to the camera. Maybe this will work better. You guys can see up close. There we go. So this is the underside of the first ruffle on her skirt. So this curve right here you see, and a little bit of yellow starting to come in. I'm on the second page. So what I'm doing is I'm using, guys, sorry, my brain. It's not Pattern Keeper, but it's the iPad one. I will put it down in the description. I'm using a Pattern Keeper, essentially, the same idea, to track my stitches on this because it's so massive. But what I'm doing is I am not stitching the black background, and I bought a dark fabric with that purpose. So this is, I have the tag on so I can tell you. This is 18 count Ada cotton from Fiber on Women. It's called Night Sky. So it has really subtle modeling, which I really like because I don't love flamboyant modeling, like really bright modeling, you know. So this is 2 pages in when you're not doing the black stitches. Now the only thing is I seem to be missing a couple of colors, and so there are a few stitches, like probably like 10 on each page, that I've not done yet because I cannot find that floss, because I went through and number by number checked my inventory of what I have for floss and then ordered the ones I didn't have. And I can't find a couple of them. So I'm thinking maybe I just missed them because there's so many. It's like over 100 colors, I think, or close to that. So anyway, this is for the long haul. You can see how big this fabric is. This stitch is going to be absolutely massive. So this is my attempt at a large full coverage, but I'm cheating and using the fabric as the dark background instead of stitching on the black. Ultimately, I could go back and stitch the black if I really feel like it's missing, but I'm hoping that I don't have to do that. So this is my progress on here. I think I've shown you a picture once because I forgot to show you the actual stitch. So these are like little flowers. So what I will say is so far it's quite pixelated down here. Like I don't really see a lot of definition, but I think it's because it's just in the corner and it's not super defined without the black. So that's the only thing I'm not sure about, is without the black all around it, will it be defined enough? So time will tell. But I'm going to stitch everything but the black first and then see if I need to stitch that. But I think because the woman is all in yellow and it's so bright and beautiful, I think it will be what the main focus is versus some less defined flowers in the bottom. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this one. It's like night and day difference already from the other one I had started and only gotten like 100 stitches in. So this one is one I have to tell myself, leave it for now. You have other things you're working on, like the birth samplers that I need to finish, that kind of thing. But I'm really enjoying this whip. Oh, I moved forward, but now I found that squeak again. Okay, so I have 2 more whips I want to show you. This is my Soul Finds Rest by A New Creation Studios. I've talked about Allison a couple of times before. So this one is just taking me a while. You know, you have so many whips and you only get around to them so often. But I do want to get this finished as this is a gift for a friend. And I would like to send her a little encouragement. And so I got a little bit more of the blue done here, and let's see, there we go. I got this motif started and mostly done. So what I'm kind of doing with this one is not a thread a day. I'm not that dedicated, but just when I have like a short amount of time to stitch, whatever, you know, the day was longer or whatever, and we only have a short time, we're watching a shorter show or just a little YouTube clip or something before we go to sleep, then I will stitch just a little bit of it. So I am chipping away at that one slowly, and I cannot find my green, which I'm assuming that green for that one is in the bag with the colors that I need for the bigger one. So who knows? When your house is in renos and you've moved or you're just disorganized, it's like you order something or you bring something with you, but then remembering where it all is, that's a whole other story. I don't know if you can see the light coming in. The sky is a beautiful blue. Maybe I will get you a clip of the snow and the blue sky after this, because it really is really pretty. And it's I'm trying to do a challenge this year that's the 1,000 hours outside with your kids. And I realized until yesterday, we'd only spent 1 hour outside, like cumulatively, walking to the post office back. And basically the entire month of January. And I was like, we need a little more time outside. We were definitely taking vitamin D, but we need some natural vitamin D if possible. And there's the fresh air. Like, I encourage you, even if you are hate the cold, hate the snow, just make yourself stand outside for 10 or 15 minutes a day. I am noticing a difference. Yesterday we spent an hour outside, and we had to bundle up, you know, and it was raining, like it was misty, and it's not pretty. Like, today's gorgeous. Today will be easier to do the hour out, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I am realizing, like, maybe cold weather is not a hindrance if we just bundle up for it. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. I have one more whip I want to show you. This is Martha's Sampler. So this is, I've talked about it many times before on here. Oh, me and this camera. There we go. This is the pattern by Josh's grandma. So we lost Josh's grandma about 10 months ago. And this is a pattern I saw in her home and on her wall when she moved to the retirement village, and now my mother-in-law has it in her home, framed, the original. The difference is this is all cross-stitch. The pattern is in my Etsy shop, and it is, I believe, the only pattern I've released that I did not stitch first to check all the colors and stuff, because what I did was I color matched to the original just by like holding up pieces to the images. And I left some imperfections that I found in her stitching. This was stitched, the original was stitched in the 1940s. She lived in Holland during the war, grew up there, and came to Canada shortly after the war. So the date she puts on here, it's not on yet, but it'll be right here. The date she puts on here is, I believe, 1946. So she would have been 16 or 17 at the time when she finished it. So I imagine she stitched it probably through 1945 into 1946, the school year, as it was a sampler. So I'll put a picture so you can see the full pattern. But there's rows and rows and rows in the original that are different stitches. So not all cross stitch at all, like all the fancy stitches and stuff. So a sampler, I guess back then you would have been told, do a row of this, do a row of that. And I asked my mother-in-law, I was like, did they all do the same one? Or she's like, as far as she knows, they were just told, you have to include this type of stitch, like this specialty stitch. And so they would add the rows. So I am really excited for the progress. I did decide to stitch it in as close of colors to the original as possible. So my progress since last time is I finished up the last little bit of some of this line of motif, which I just love this look. This was my favorite row for a while, but this one was fun. But now I'm on to the little Dutch house, and this is a windmill, so there'll be the windmill blades soon. This is a farmer and his horse. So now this is one of those moments, like, just a reminder, if you have loved ones who are aging and you have questions, ask them now, because once they're gone, you can't ask them. But I am so curious about this horse because Grandma would tell a story because they lived in Holland when it was occupied. And they had a mule of some kind that was quite stubborn that they used on the farm, as they had a farm. And at some point the Nazis came and confiscated their mule. And they told them, you do not want this mule. He will not go for you. He is very stubborn, whatever. And they said whatever they said and took the mule away. So then days or weeks later, a man from several villages over returned them their mule. And they said, how did you get our mule back? And they said, well, the Nazis rode him or took him or whatever. And eventually he just wouldn't go and wouldn't listen for them. So they just ditched the mule in that village. And the man from a couple of villages over knew whose mule this was. So this mule had a history and brought him back to her family. So I kind of like to think, I don't know. I have no idea if that's why she stitched this mule or not. But I kind of like to think maybe she was depicting herself or one of her brothers working in the fields with that stubborn mule that the Nazis took and ditched and got brought back. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun. This feels to me like kind of an effortless stitch because there's not a lot of counting. There's some, but not a ton. So this is the next motif. There's a little bird in here and then her initials go here. I think I'm going to wait until I finish the entire stitch and then add in her initials. Yeah, and then over here's a really cool like kind of candelabra motif. I don't know any of the significance to that one, unfortunately, but I'm really enjoying stitching it. So this is Martha Sampler in honor of Grandma. It is a replica. It's not my original design. I always like to say that just so that Grandma gets the credit. Yeah, so I miss her, but this is a fun way to honor her and remember her. So anyway, Amy, who I was mentioning earlier about the ornaments thing, but I can't remember her floss tube. I'm so sorry, Amy. She is stitching it in a variegated blue, the whole thing. So I did a version of it that you can get when you buy the pattern on my Etsy shop. You get the color version as well as a all monochrome version. And the monochrome version, sorry, I got a little teary there and my eyes all goopy. The monochrome version is like the negative space, so you can see the outline. So it's slightly different, not much, but it gets more different mostly around this motif, just because that's where you need some of the negative space to see the windows and that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm really, really excited to see that one as it progresses along. I enjoy seeing her updates. So that is Martha Sampler, and that is my last whip that I have been working on. I have my plans I will show you before I show you haul. I know not everybody enjoys watching haul, so I'll leave haul to the end. But my plan is I have a pattern that I will put up on the screen here that is, again, have no idea what the name is, but it's from a CrossStitch magazine. I saw it last year. I'm obsessed with it, and I had a couple of projects like the birth samplers I wanted to get a little bit more progressed on before I start, but I'm hoping to start this one this week because I'm so excited to stitch it. It is all these jams and jellies, and so I'm going to put a picture here so you can see it. And I have two thoughts for this pattern. I think I want to stitch it as a whole, the whole thing, because it's stunning and I can a lot. Jams and jellies I don't can that much, but I can a lot of other foods and some jam or jelly. Not jelly, I can jam. But I think just everything about this is beautiful. The pattern, the colors, the concept, all of it, love it. But I also think it would be so fun to stitch the individual jam jars or jelly jars individually as like little ornaments, or like as just like little smalls to give as a gift, like just one little jar of jam. How cute is that? Or like if you make homemade jam or buy homemade jam, like putting it with a jar of jam to gift to that person, like, I don't know, that just takes my mind. I always love cutesy ideas for gifts that are practical but pretty, like aesthetically practical, is that a thing? Oh my goodness, I just think that would be such a fun little gift to receive. So I'm like, okay, if I would enjoy receiving that, I'm sure I know people who would enjoy receiving it too. So I think that is in my future as some of my 2025 ornaments. I'm going to stitch some jam and then give it with a jar of jam. And then they have the ornament at Christmas. I don't know if that's like Christmassy. There's probably one on there that's like reddish. Maybe that one would be more Christmassy. But I'm like, I don't know. I think of jam as like a good gift for the holidays. So maybe it's Christmassy. Let me know what you think if you have thoughts on it. But that's my like excited plan. This is my, I am excited, but I'm nervous. Because this will be my third or fourth time trying to start this pattern. I want to stitch this. And usually I do not let perfectionism, I do not let staying in a box limit me from doing something creative. Usually I just say, go for it, do what I want. Well, what I want is to stitch my Canadian flag by Vivsters. It was a SAL that everybody jumped on board last winter, I think it was last January, buying their country's flags. And I bought Canada, because I live in Canada, even though I transplanted from the US. My intention was, oh, I'll stitch the Canadian flag this year, maybe next year I'll stitch the US one. I did not realize how huge it is. But what I also did not figure out was that you couldn't see the white from the flag. I've talked about this multiple times on here. Couldn't see the white from the flag on the material I picked. Multiple times. And then I picked one and I hated the material, and I ended up using the material for other stuff, so it was fine. I think I found it. I think I found the fabric. So I don't know that this is a trend so much, maybe a little bit in the prim decor style when that was like really, really what was the current home decor. But I feel like growing up in the US, I saw American flags on more like, you had your regular American flag, right? The traditional one. But then you had like antiqued looking American flags that were on a darker background. Anyway, I was like, why can't the Canadian flag have that same kind of rustic old look? I feel like I have seen it in imagery somewhat here, but nowhere near as much as growing up in the US. But I'm like, the Canadian flag, there's old versions of it too, which would have old, darker colored fabric most likely. So please excuse if you have headphones on the crinkle. This is, I've already forgotten what it's called. It's a 32 count, and it is platinum Lugana fabric. So it's gonna show up looking probably way lighter than it actually is. It's kind of a sandy brown beige. I don't know. So I have opted to go with 321 as my red. Yeah, these colors are not, that looks orange. Blah! Okay guys, let me turn it this way maybe and it will show up. That sunlight is beautiful, but I think it's almost making the colors look crazy. It's washing it out. And then the Blanc. Blanc, how do you say it? Yeah, it doesn't have a number. And I think we're gonna be able to see it. Guys, I hope we're gonna be able to see it. It's showing up super light, but it's actually a bit darker. Well, not next to my hair, but anyway. So I think with my, you know, couple of strands, it is gonna show. How do I get this to take, there we go, maybe. Turn the light there. Ooh, guys, I'm struggling. Anyway, I think it does show nicely. There we go. A little less of the sunlight, you can see. That white does pop off there. So I am gonna restart for the third or fourth time my Canadian flag. Wish me luck! So that is, I really am excited to stitch it. I like this fabric a lot better than the other fabric. And I don't know why, but my brain has had such a hard time figuring out what size fabric I need for this project. Usually I just use the 1, 2, 3 fabric calculator and have no problem, but I have messed up multiple times because that was another part of the last fabric too. I think I've got the wrong size. So this is huge. I should have no shortage of fabric for this flag. So anyway, I'll keep you posted. I have not set a date when I'm going to start it. I've looked at it a couple of times and then, but you know, there's only so many things you can start at once. So this is a very nice fabric though. I like that it has some stiffness to it. And what I have not decided, I need to go back and look at my notes if this is, I'm stitching 1 over 1 or I'm stitching 2 over 2. I don't remember now. I'll just silence that for a minute. Okay, I am back. I just had a nice little phone call, a video call, so I wanted to finish doing that. But I'm just gonna really quick show you my haul. I'm gonna keep it really, really quick because I need to go make lunch. But I wanted to show you, I've had these things sitting here for probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months now, from before the holidays, some fun little things I found. So I found this really cute tin. See, this is where I'm struggling with this zoom. This really, really cute tin. I got it for 99 cents. is a little bit stiff. Ah! There goes the lid. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Once upon a time, my brain would have said, I have to edit that out. It's not perfect. You can't see that I made a mistake. Yes, you can. There you go. Back on. Pretty tin. And there is a tiny little one to go with it, which Justin has played with extensively. So I thought they were just so pretty. So I'm not sure yet. I think I'll probably just put like bobbins and doodads in them. It's my guess, but I haven't, if there's some other idea I haven't come up with. This one was 59 cents and it goes with the set, which I just thought they were so cute. This is why I love thrifting. So this one I thought I could put like a little pin cushion, or I could even have like a hidden stitch in here, or I could put a magnet and a needle minder. I haven't decided yet, but I thought, you know, they're so pretty. Once my craft room is vacated from being the living room, I will set it up as my craft room, and now this lid doesn't want to go on. Anyway, so those are fun. And then I found one more. I think this is an old tea tin made in England. Tea Masters of London, the Earl Grey tea. So I thought this one was pretty, and I got it also either $1 or 50 cents, because that thrift store that I got this at sometimes will do like a half off sale. So you know, it's just a tea tin. And I thought, oh, you know, I think a shelf in my craft room when it's all organized and dedicated to crafting, these would be so pretty to hold like buttons and bits and bobs. So anyway, I can't pass up cutesy tins when they're that cheap. So I got a big swath of red Aida. This was from the thrift store. And I got several other things of Aida and fabric. Most is just plain. I've used most of them now actually already for ornaments and stuff. But there was a lot of this kind of stuff, which it's called a corner block, 14 count. And so what it is like inside there's like, it's like this kind of patterning all around the edges, and then there's a block in the center that is just plain Aida. That's the like the creamy kind of color. So I've not found a pattern or designed a pattern, either one, that really felt like it fit this fabric. So what I have been doing so far is I got several of these, is I've just been cutting little sections of it to finish the backs of smalls, because it's a nice little patch of this like kind of like white and blue variegated look, woven look or whatever, and it makes a cute little patch for the back of something. So I've been doing that, and honestly I have enough of that that I'll never have to buy fabric for swatches or like use other fabric I'd rather use for a cross stitch, like to finish the back of something. So that's just what I'm doing so far. Honestly, I've never seen a project worked on these, like where it's in the middle and then we've got the kind of designed look around it. So I would love to know if you've used this, or if this was, I mean, the font and the logo definitely looks more like something at least from the 90s, if not before. And I don't think there's a date anywhere. So I'm wondering if, you know, this was a trend for certain style of patterns. So if you recognize this style, I would love to see in the comments if you want to tell me about it, because I haven't spent any time Googling it or anything. But I honestly don't really know what people are doing or were doing with this. But that's what I'm using it for currently, is cutting those little sections out and finishing the backs and things with them. So I've got several of those, but I'm not going to dig them all out to show you. So I got that. This red fabric I'm hoping to do some Christmas ornaments on, so I'm sure you'll see this throughout this year as I do my 25 ornaments. This was a Stitching in the Wild, and I needed to save it. I think I paid, it says $1.99 on the back. This cute little cross stitch. I have no idea the pattern. And it was all framed up and everything, and it's like, you know, nicely framed and everything. So sometimes I leave cross stitch at the thrift store when I find it. It depends on how much they've priced it for. Depends on the style, like if am I genuinely going to use it or not in my decor. But this was so fun. I definitely decorate seasonally when it comes to Christmas, so I pulled it out and had it on my wall. But I thought it was so cute. So the little candle holder motifs, so fun. Anyway, so I found that. And then this is not, I did not find this floss, but I found this floss holder. I think I paid $4 for it maybe, and it had a bunch of other floss in it, and it had a mix of different brands. And so when I'm designing for patterns that I sell, I stick just to DMC at this time, although I would like to try adding in a fancy floss here and there, but I've actually never stitched with fancy floss, so I need to try that. But so I found this, and this is full of the duplicate colors for my big Stitches So Beautiful pattern, the really big one, because some of these colors, like these are all just for that, and these are the extra ones where you need like 5,000 of the one color. Not literally, but you know what I mean? So that is what's being organized in there. I found this pattern, and I think I ended up getting it for $1/4 because it was at that thrift store when it had a sale. And I thought, oh, that's so fun. Now, what I will say is the color scheme is not my color scheme. It very much reminds me of a reindeer for Christmas, not just a deer leaping, but very much a reindeer. So I think I'm going to do this in maybe some shades of green and red, or gold and red, or I have not decided yet. I looked and looked for it at Christmas because I couldn't figure out where I had stashed it away, and then realized it's stashed in here because I wanted to start it for Christmas. But anyway, the pattern is by Joy Sunday. Never heard of this designer before. And their original pattern says it calls for ecology cotton floss. And there is some writing in another language I don't recognize. But it's called the 7 Color Deer. And it's a color chart. I'm not going to show it to you. But yeah. So I am going to just skip their called for colors. So this will probably, hopefully come out in December. But I also get the Itch to Stitch Christmas in July, like that halfway mark I really do. So he may come out in July. But anyway, I thought that was fun. So I got this pattern for like $1/4, and the pattern is unmarked, which is really, really nice for a used pattern. So this was a thrift find from my friend who she goes thrifting a fair bit more than me. This is a shadow box, and it already has like a linen backing inside of it. So I am super excited about this because I've chatted a few times about wanting to do an anniversary stitch, like in honor of our wedding. And we didn't like have a dance at our wedding or anything, so I don't have like our first song or anything like that. And but I have a pattern brewing in my head because I have looked through dozens and dozens of anniversary, like wedding, love themed patterns, and I've not found like that one. But there are 2 different songs that I absolutely love, and one was played at our wedding at the reception and has been a favorite since I was a young girl because it was played in a movie. And so I'm still brewing over what that pattern would look like because I want the lyrics to that song in it. But there's a bigger picture that I'm having a hard time designing. So I've been brewing over this for probably 5 months, 6 months, that pattern in my head, but I haven't actually put, I'd say pen to paper, but I actually did design it on the iPad. But I do really hope to design it this year, and it's going in here. Oh yeah. And my plan is, I wanted a shadow box. She got this for like $3 at the thrift store, I think. My plan is I have some of my bouquets still. So I'd like to drop a few of the dried flowers in here, and then my bouquet was wrapped in burlap around the handle part of the stems, and then I had these little pearl pins that held it all together. So I'm going to tuck a couple of those here in the bottom, I think. So that's the plan. And we have these little paper hearts that are origami that we currently hang on our Christmas tree because they have a little twine, like a little to hang them. So instead of a wedding favor, we did a like the little origami heart was on everyone's plate at the reception, and it said in lieu of a favor we've opted to do this, and we did a through Samaritan's Purse you can pay for a child's surgery. So that's what we chose to do instead, because it was the same price point of doing that, or like buying everybody like a pair of cheap sunglasses, or you know, like everyone gets their own little item. And there's nothing wrong with wedding favors, but a lot of times they just get thrown away. And I was struggling with that waste and struggling with the idea of like using that money to buy something that not everybody's even really gonna want. Like, and I have seen some amazing wedding favors that people do want. So not to knock wedding favors, but anyway, it worked for us. So we have several, probably 2 dozen of these little origami hearts, and we hang them on our Christmas tree every year. But I thought, oh, I could sacrifice 2 to go in here. So I think that's the plan for in here. I'm envisioning in my head a monochrome pattern, but we'll see. I don't know. A lot of time I have a design in my head, and I would say probably 75% of the time I stick with that once it's actually going. But probably the other quarter of the time, the color changes, or it goes from being a colorful piece to a monochrome piece or vice versa. My battery is blinking, so this is, I think, the end of my little thing. Do want to show you really quick if it'll hold out. I got these 2 books, which I'm hoping to do a flip through of. So many fun patterns. I paid, I think, $1 each for them. Or maybe $2 for this one and $1 for this one. This is going to be a Flosstube extra at some point. I'm having a hard time just getting time to film the regular ones, so we'll see. But I found these 2 little ones. So cute. These little tins. I'm all about the tins this time, guys. So these are definitely going to be for putting a project bag, and it's got my needle minder and needles in. I have 2 other things, but my battery is blinking at me, so I'm just gonna say thank you guys for being here, and as always, thank you for watching. There's dust on something and it's making my nose itch. And all the little interruptions this video, sorry, but thanks for sticking with me. I really enjoy chatting with you in the comments, and even more, I love chatting with you guys over on Instagram in between. Just appreciate this community, and my stitching has been a joyful part of January, and I hope that you're able to winter a little bit. I hope you're able to snuggle in instead of going out sometimes, and it's okay to say no. And but it's also good to be in contact with others and still having some kind of community, because we're not made to be alone either. So I hope that you can enjoy your time stitching, and that you enjoy your next Flosstube or whatever you're on to next. And hopefully I'll see you guys a little sooner than this time. But if not, happy winter, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye, guys.